At British International Investment, impact is at the heart of what we do. We focus on 3 strategic impact objectives: to support productive, sustainable, and inclusive development. And we've developed a world-class impact management approach to help us do this. One key element is our impact score. It is a tool that manages the strategic impact of our portfolio. It is designed to incentivize investments that contribute most to our productive, sustainable, and inclusive objectives. The impact score assesses the extent to which each investment and our overall portfolio helps us achieve these objectives. Before we make an investment, we calculate a productive, a sustainable, and an inclusive score. The productive score considers how the investment contributes to raising the productivity of an economy, so it can support a decent standard of living for all. It ranges from 0 to 4. To calculate the productive score, we examine the degree of need for that product or service in the relevant country, the amount of impact we can achieve for every dollar invested, whether it will create positive spillover effects for other companies, and if it might help catalyze markets. The sustainable score looks at how much the investment contributes to the transition to net zero and climate-resilient economies. It ranges from -1 to 4. To calculate the sustainable score, we first identify whether the investment qualifies as climate finance or not. If it does, it's scored based on its contribution to climate mitigation or adaptation and resilience. If not, it's scored on greenhouse gas emissions. Finally, the inclusive score considers the extent to which the investment benefits certain target groups. This ranges from 0 to 4. We want to direct our capital to where it is needed the most, so we mark an investment higher on the inclusive score if it reaches people with low incomes and if it addresses specific inequalities. We prioritize investments that enhance women's economic participation and in businesses in sub-Saharan Africa that are owned or led by Black Africans. Once we have our productive, sustainable, and inclusive scores, we add these together to get the total impact score for the investment, which can range from -1 to a maximum capped at 10. We update the score for each investment based on its actual impact performance. In this example, let's say we are considering an investment in a renewable energy project in South Africa. The project combines solar power generation and battery storage. It will add renewable energy capacity to reduce electricity supply constraints that cause power outages in the country. First, let's look at the productive score. We know the degree of need for access to power in South Africa is relatively low, compared with other countries we can invest in. We know the amount of power produced for every dollar invested is in line with our sector benchmarks. We also know that power generation plays a vital role in enabling businesses to grow. And finally, the innovative combination of solar power generation with battery storage has the potential to be replicated by others in the market. So, based on these factors, we give this investment a productive score of 4. Next, let's look at the sustainable score. As it's an example of renewable energy, this investment qualifies as climate finance. So this means we can give it a score of 3, the default score for renewable energy. Finally, we calculate the inclusive score. As power from this investment will be sold to the national grid, the profile of final consumers is not easily assessed. This means we use the default country score instead. In this case, the default score for South Africa. So, based on this information, we can give this an inclusive score of 1. With all 3 scores now allocated, the total impact score for this investment is 8. We can then combine scores from individual investments like this one to create an aggregate impact score for the whole portfolio. This helps us assess the extent to which our overall portfolio aligns with our organizational objectives. The impact score is just one tool in our overall approach to impact management. You can find more information on our broader approach at bii.co.uk.